Sonya. I'm 17. I live in Kakhovka. My house is located on Mikhail Zhuka Street. It's strange that I rarely walk this street, but I watch it almost every day. I especially like to do this at night. Last time was before the invasion. The city was covered with fog. I went to the balcony to take pictures. Early morning, February 24, I woke up due to very loud explosions. Opened the weather hoping that it was a storm, but what? A storm in winter? And when the storm thundered the windows, it felt like everything except my room had turned into hell, and I could no longer escape because there was lava everywhere. Ukrainian territory and nation feels disgusting because of strangers and their heartlessness. We don't need to be liberated by Russian soldiers. Good always triumphs over evil. We don't need to be liberated by Russian soldiers. Good always triumphs over evil.
I'm Sonya, I'm 16. I was born and live in Ukraine, in the Donbass, in the city of Slovyansk, Lisny district. We moved there in 2013, began to make repairs. I was then 9 years old. I quickly found friends. Everything is according to the canons. We jumped on garages, did caravan, but the janitor constantly destroyed it. When it was warm, we played in the water sprinkler. 2 teams. Our yard against the neighbor. The point is to wet the enemy. Who gets wet, out of the game. Which team will come out dry and won. And of course, we had a place that was considered dangerous, where everyone was forbidden to go by their parents and where went only the bravest. It was a bit on the endless construction site. I remember the day my friends and I went on the expedition there. Then I felt free. In 2014, the war broke out in Slovyansk. The Russian military came to take away my childhood freedom. At first, I went to school, to music school. My mother went to work. The shell fell into our yard. The windows and tables in the house shook. As usual, drunks drank beer on the bench. The fragment tore off a neighbor's hand. It was impossible to call an ambulance. There were shelling in the city. The next morning I went to school. There were 3 of us in the class, I, a classmate and teacher. After the second lesson we were released. 20 minutes later, shelling began near the school. My mom quickly packed up, called a taxi and we went to the station. So that the car was on fire and the trolley bus came under fire. On July 5th, The Ukrainian military liberated my city from those condoms, and on the 8th we arrived home. When I grow up a little and the fear of exploding on a stretch disappeared, I fell in love with walking in nature. The Lesny has its very beautiful nature. You know, this whole side of the road used to be a forest. There are even a landing. But the canyons is closer to me. To get there, you need to go through the university building. I like this building so much. It was the first to appear on the forest side of the road. How I love to walk here. When I get tired, I come here and it's so fresh and cool. It is here that there is always such a pleasant feeling of wine between the fingers. I know this feeling very well. Our land is free by nature. But that sick bitch climbs and dreams of freeing us from our land. We are freedom, and you continue to masturbate on the USSR, but without going abroad.
My name is Sharity. I'm 16 years old and I live in Kramatorsk on Yaroslava-Mudrova Street. On its own, the street is pretty long and unites several districts, one of which is mine. There is a view outside my window of the nearby house, playground and plenty of the trees that grows in front of my window. I love this alleyway. This picture outside the window. It is so cozy, and it seems to have such distinctive energy. Especially it is significant in the spring and summer, in the late afternoon, when the sunlight fills the opposite house, or later, where the moon above and sky colors blue or baby blue with shades of pink into the clouds. I wake with this view and go to bed with it. Sometimes I can spend hours watching through the sky and thinking about everything. I'm taking food in front of the window, as social. I take photos of my yard because I find something interesting and unique. Sometimes I feel that I will never find an as beautiful window from the window as mine. I must pull the shadows down each evening for 2 last week, because careful, which included the power outage. Daily, I am looking at the wall in the corridor for hours because of air raids. I wake with this wall and go to bed with it, and go to bed. Several days ago, I sat nervously, the window closed with shades. Suddenly, the bright light got through the shades inside the room, and after that was a loud explosion. I was the missile that detonated somewhere in my district.
My name is Vitaly Antologov. I make an art and try to get any feelings from life. I am Dokuchborod. This is what the student calls the inhabitants of the village of Dokuchayevsky. Why is Dokuchayevsky? This is the place where the Dokuchayev University is located. Everything is simple, no water, just a university. My whole life is connected with this place. Here I walked a little autumn leaves. Here I broke my knee on the asphalt. I remember the boys and I hanging out on apricots all the time. Here I found real friends. Our relationships went through fire and frost. He was the first confession of love. Under the house of cats I said how much I liked it girl. The first time I was drunk in Dokuch, when we bought beer at the store twice as expensive as usual. All my school years were spent here. Philosophical evenings were held in slabs, where they usually took run, but we talk under the stars about the meaning of life with a glass of port and a cigarette in right hand. I took and gave all my emotions to this place, to these windows that glow at night, to these people who are the greatest and calmest at the same time. Now I feel happy, but at the same time extremely devastated and angry, and I am Estonian, darling. I met Poles and Lithuanians who helped us incredibly. When I think of them, I feel warm in my soul, and I begin to think that the palm of goodness exists, and it really touches people's souls. I want to tell everyone who helped us that I want to love and hug you. I want to bring you as much happiness as you brought me, only twice as much. I want to thank you. My hometown was destroyed. The feelings that were embedded in those buildings, they were ruthlessly destroyed by cruel missiles. Now there are only shattered buildings and dreams. My father is Zena. He is wearing a yellow bandage on his arm and I'm proud of that. But recently cut off the light and we can call him. I hope he is fine. I hope everything will end in victory and I will go back there and look at the big hole in the house with the thought that everything will only get better. The ruined brick will go away, the new one will be late, and Dokuch will remain Dokuch, because my memory grows like a bush from this land.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm 17 years old. I have a great desire to eat everything with my eyes, everything around, all the beauty, to preserve all the memories. In the 7th grade, December 13th, 2018, at school, I wrote an essay about my street, excerpt from it. It is difficult to notice the Khlebarovska street, because it is surrounded by a large number of huge acacias and maples. Oh yes, in the spring my house just sinks into the blossoming of trees and flowers. My street is small. There are about 8 courts. I have no neighbors, so my house seems to stand a little to the side. I live at the beginning of the street and therefore rarely go to the other end. Children smaller than me live here, which is why as a child I walked either alone or on other streets where my friends lived. I like the fact that we have no neighbors. There is such a feeling of freedom and freshness. In the spring it floods the beginning of the street where the old riverbed overgrown with reeds stretches. There are also gardens along my street. In them I built huts, climbed the trees, walked with dogs. I love catching May beetles. You run after them like a golden snipper and they run away from you, twist, and the sun shines so softly because it is already setting. The name of our street is Kharkiv. I don't know why it has such a name. Maybe because we live by the river and we have fertile land, and maybe because hardworking people lived here, and maybe because during the Soviet Union we had a lot of collective farmers on the street who worked the land and grew bread. I don't know why this is the name, but I like it. Our street is popularly called Orachivka due to the fact that many people with the surname Orachova lived here. I am in the 11th grade and in a few months I will continue my studies at the university. I am sad that I will part with my home. I also often get upset because I forget more and more about my childhood memories, and only photos, videos, stories and diaries help to keep my memory clear. There are a lot of old abandoned houses on my street. About a month ago I walked around their backyards and imagined how people lived in them. I tried to get out of their gates like they did in the morning, stood and looked at the street as if with different eyes. And I'm sad that people from my backyard will look the same way someday. I love my street because it is a quiet island like a separate world where I am the mistress of gardens and rivers. I am the mistress of gardens and rivers. I am the mistress of gardens and rivers. I love catching May beetles. I am the mistress of gardens and rivers. It's a quiet island like a separate world, where I am the mistress of gardens and rivers. Oh yes, I am the mistress. I am the mistress of gardens and rivers.
Hi, my name is Sharity Elizaveta, more commonly is Lisa. I had born in Kyiv, but at the age when my memory has not already committed changes, we moved to Brovary. Now I'm 17 years old and I'm sitting in a flat on the street named after Simon Petlura. Let me tell you a little about Brovary and the street which name I write down in the column place of residence. According to my parents' words, when we moved to the city it was tiny and green. There was a wasteland instead of my current house, which separated residential buildings from the industrial area. We had changed the placement several times before I settled down on the street named after Chernyakhovsky. To be true, I had no time to get to know something about him. When the big scary decommunization came and my street was renamed after Simon Petlura, I asked my mother who is he, and got the answer that he is an organizer of armed force in Ukraine, a military man. The thought appeared in my head, why did they change one military name to another? All the military are murders. Wikipedia describes my street in this way: Simona Petlura Street, one of the main streets of Brovary. The street length is 1,900 meters. It starts from Kievska Street and ends with Stepana Bandera Street, next to the railway station. My street contains Linden Alley. An alley, when lindens bloom, I want to live anywhere on one condition, that Linden Alley does not lead to my porch, because I hate the smell of the blossom. And also I have the allergy reaction. I started writing this text when explosion was thundering outside the windows, and the bombing keeps going on for 4 days already. I am going to start packing my suitcase tomorrow. I feel the internal resistance. I have even started to like the Linden Alley under my windows. I do not want to end up with the story of my living in this city on the railway station, but that is where my street leads. I feel like I'm standing on the cliff. I cannot see both the end of it and my future.
Canned food. My name is Nox. I'm 17. I live in Uzhhorod and the intersection of two streets, Bolotinska and Zolota. On Bolotinska I learned to skate and roller skates, on Zolota street to think. These two streets used to be very similar, they were equally extremely screwed. Then Bolotinska rose up, it was asphalted, speed bumps were laid, traffic increased, and Zolota remained a broken road with troughs to my waist. I don't know why the street is called Zolota, but Bolotinska caused the Bolotina zone, Bolotina because it was built on a swamp. Until 2016, the name of Bolotinska street completely corresponded to its appearance, but then it remained only a small reminder of the past. A drummer lived on this street. He died of cancer. Then my dad and I bought drums and took on the role of noisemakers. Here lived a car mechanic, a woman who breeds goats, a man who breeds dogs, live Americans with a mission of religious education. There is also a Roma family, therefore from time to time on the street you could see a horse. Sometimes you can hear the scream of a woman who breeds goats, sometimes the shouts owing quarrels, sometimes the cries of children, sometimes all together. I get used to the screams, although at first they scared me. My neighbors have an eggplant minibus which leaves almost every dawn with a roar, and after the agonized starts of engine, no matter how many years I get used to it. But sometimes I wake up from the moans of the engine, from the slamming of the door, and lie in bed motionless in fear until I realize that this is a neighbor and his constant morning ritual, not a gun. Almost nothing has changed on the streets over the years. They transmogrify into the can. I call the street canned, so what? I exhaust them on tricycle and then whelmed with blood, well dripped from the knees that I broke. I played street football with the dudes. I was goalie, I was scored a goal. Then I went to school through these streets, and then I returned with them home. 26 dogs lived on these streets. Some of them died, they were replaced. Once on the street people could not be seen, and now, like a gem from a bomb came out, cars appeared. The houses have not changed, nowhere. Yards have not changed, but where, who, why? And people don't know how to change. Only the children screaming under the windows were replaced. Yes, it is a can. It was covered with asphalt. This is so that skyscrapers never grown up here.
My name is Daria Bogdan. I study acting and work in this theater, but now I'm not working very well. I live in the Lane Vasily, the 21st house. I hope it's still there when we get back because mines and fucking shells are flying there now. About 27th February, the hole was made by a shell fragment in the next house. I hope our neighbor is safe because I didn't see her after that, and I hadn't seen her before because she was also sitting in the cellar, almost never going out. I don't know if I can write something that's not a trash that happened recently. I was frightened by my lane when I walked out of the cellar and go to home and back. I was scared that something might happen nearby. Although it usually happens toward the evening, in the evening we don't go out on the lane. We didn't go out. It's snowing in my lane now. Although I don't know if it's snowing or melting. There is a cellar in Vasily Lane next to the plot where we are hiding. Inside fucking a lot of litter of bigger cans, which are suitable as the containers for waste during heavy shelting. There is also a bag of potatoes and onions for soups. From the notes. It's scary to let that out. 11 a.m. on our lane, roosters are still screaming. Incredible disgust in the mouth. Droplets fall from the ceiling. One of the tasks for today is to take up the drop so as not to have it in the back of the head. Hair wet and fucking cold. In our cellar on our lane Vasily, I am periodically shaken because the body's reaction of loud explosions. I dreamed of horses, their soft necks. A fighter plane flew over us today. It was loud, but I was not scared. Even when I hear explosions, I feel calm. I am getting used to it. I don't want to get used to it. From the notes. I want security. Please, I just want to live in safety with the people I love. I don't want war. I don't believe what I'm writing now. I am very scared. My mother went outside. I am afraid for her. She came out of the cellar. I feel like a remark. I just went to the toilet and heard explosions. Fuck. For the second time I can to take a dump. It's very well to wipe my ass with sound of bombing. There we are. A military neighbor called and calmed me down. I'll buy him a bottle of cognac when it's over. Is in return for his therapeutic. Everything is fine. The empty is exhausted. Now they're shooting. Light went out. Guilt, fear, gunpowder is the main smell guard of my lane, which fucking far from me. My Vasily Lane, you're really Vasily. I love you. I want to stand again in the evening on the horizon to see the windows that glow with light bulbs. Instead, burning in the fire.
I'm Igor, I'm 19, and I'm a working student and artist. 6 months ago, I moved from the dormitory to my first apartment on Yerevansky Street in Kyiv. This step was another step in my growing up and another step towards becoming the person I wanted to be when I left my hometown 3 years ago to study. I wanted to quickly conquer the capital and then somehow to conquer the whole world, but it didn't work. After 2 years, I wanted to justify myself and change something in my life. Then I found Vitalik, whom I saw 4 times at the time, and he found a friend with an apartment. And a long story short, I'm here on Yerevansky Street. It's only 1.4 kilometers long, was very, very quiet. The main contingent, grandmothers, mothers, and dog owners. I always tell this to my friends who come to visit me for the first time, and although I understand that they don't care how many schools are nearby, which bus routes they stop, with discounts in the eco-market, and what secret way to get to the nearest subway station, but telling this, I try to justify why I left part of my life and friends in the dormitory. But I have this request for peace. The child inside me needed peace and security, as well as a supermarket, a post office, a park, a forest, and a beautiful secret road to the nearest metro station. I finally got my corner with borders and all the things, and I became a border guard who could choose the people who would cross it. But now I feel especially alienated because I still can't say that I became a part of this huge city, and especially of this district, where I don't quite fit into its ecosystem and contingent. Not to say that I really wanted to, because I was focused on building my own world, but now it seems important to know at least someone. It's scary now. Everyone is afraid, everyone is watching and suspect everyone, but in general, they're doing the right thing, although it turns out to be a bit of a strange contrast to how people are ready to help each other at the same time. The need for security has not gone away, but now I feel the desire to somehow preserve the remnants of charm of this street and tranquility in this place. This charm still lives in fun men who stand in the line for sausages in the stall and buy unlimited bread in a cool bakery and wonder what might it cost a redeemer's journey. So I want to approach his grandfather, pat him on the forehead and say, "Ooh, just buy everything in bread. Don't be suspected, not worry." But this grandfather said nothing else about pudding, so it would be better not to pat him on the head, but to break his fucking piece against the counter. And that's it. I just think that there are many more likable grandparents who are worried about bread and do not say that pudding will come a little cheaper. They lived here much earlier than me, and it's probably a great tragedy that it was so quiet here. And I like that. I would like to thank them for something important, but I'm still afraid of human fear. Because of this, all I can do now to keep someone else's peace is to dress in the brightest things so that it's clear that I'm a civilian, not to take photos, and to restrain myself from going to see if it's possible to take a secret road through the railway depot to my favorite metro station. Because I love this road very much, but it seems to be an important strategic object.
We are Lisa and Dima. We are 18. We live together in a dormitory in Mannheim, Germany. 14 square meters where everything is friendly to us. At first, me lived here alone for a long time. Lonely, far from everything sensible to me. Ukraine, art, love, family, concentrating in all inside and burning out slowly. I was in a digital love with a familiar world, which was so far away from me. I was restless, and I will forever be.
I haven't seen Dima for 6 months. I dreamed of seeing him again, but not under such circumstances. It is difficult for me to separate with him because he is my feeling of security and peace. Once I woke up from explosions in my dream, and then did not see him around, when in reality there is spring, sun outside the window. In university we prepared a play, Waiting for Godot, Imaginary Waiting for a War. In the end, it actually comes in the play. However, nobody believed that it will become in real life. Everyone told each other, there is no way the war will happen. Even when all members of foreign embassies were being deported at the time, and US scouts said the invasion was planned in days. And we laughed at it. We thought it was Russia trying to intimidate us once again. I asked my friends if there would be a war, and everyone called me a panicker in return. On the evening of the 23rd, when the state of emergency was imposed in Ukraine, I was packing 2 suitcases, one for tomorrow's shooting, and in other, I was packing my essentials. In my corridor there was a cat carrier, a fake Christmas tree, decorations and suitcases. Meanwhile, in the chat everyone was discussing tomorrow and the work plan, and even then it seems to me that this was not a psychological war, as everyone thought. That invasion really can happen tonight.
At 4 a.m., I was woken up by my neighbor from Chile with the words, "I'm sorry to say that, but..." There was no need to continue. She knew it somehow, when I didn't.
In the morning, many of us woke up because of the explosions, and instead of filming, I left Kyiv. I saw people going along the road. One head holding a cat, other a child, with only one backpack. They were just going in direction to cars.
War is the loss of their reliance. My reliance is my country, where the genocide by Russian army is taking place. With each squeezed eye, I begin to see worth. With each death, I also partially die. I cease to be in my reality. Everything, walls, people, cups, sounds, are just objects of interactions for my body. It is sitting, standing, drinking. Me, myself, is there with my country. I'm with it forever. Who am I? I'm a shell in which pain is pain, hope, and the future. I watch the war throwing me from side to side. Still, I see my way.
Loss of reliance is felt like a loss of yourself. Each of us has felt it on our own skin. That's when fear completely takes over your body. We had to look for a new point of support. Then I immersed into myself and felt infinite power. My support is me. Ukrainians have seen how they can fight. The whole world saw it. Unbreakable Ukrainian Cossack spirit. We have killed the victim in us. We are renewed, and we are the beginning of the new future.
We will win. Glory to Ukraine.